Today we're doing a spoiler-free review of the first book in a new era of Star Wars called Light of the Jedi. Let's get into it. Star Wars Light of the Jedi is written by Charles Soule, and it takes place in what is now been deemed the High Republic. And no, the Jedi are not smoking weed now. Now it's a party. The High Republic is set some 200 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, and it really shows a time where the Jedi were at the height of their power. The galaxy is at peace, and it's really a golden age, so to speak. Before I get into my thoughts, I want to ask that you hit that subscribe button if you want to see more early reviews like this. Also, if you love everything Star Wars, because here on this channel, we get into everything Star Wars. So, general first impressions, this book blew me away. It really has everything you could want from a book. Great pacing, check. Great characters, check. Great story, check. It checks all the checks that need to be checked.
What?
The book started off for me kind of slow, and once again, no spoilers, but we do start off in a spaceship, like really all Star Wars stories. And for the first few pages, I was wondering if this was going to be the kind of story for me, but by the end of the first chapter, I can say I was hooked. I feel like the author does a good job of really reeling you in throughout the story. Every time I was thinking of taking a break, or every time I would say this is the last chapter for me, I'd turn the next page, and next thing I knew, I was right back into the book for another hour or so. That's because the pacing is so well done. It has moments where it slows, but for the most part, it never skips a beat with the pacing, especially in the first 10 chapters or so. Another thing I love about the pacing is that right away we are thrown into the plot. Yes, more is going on than we're aware of at first, but still we don't waste any time here. Right away, the first 2 chapters set up everything you really need to know, and we're in the plot. And as I said, it just continues to get better and better with each chapter. I also brought up how great the characters are, and I have to say, it is the thing I liked most about this book. As a Star Wars fan, all the new characters we are introduced to are pretty great, and some are even more than great. Some of them I really loved. 2 that come to mind are Avar Kriss and Loden Greatstorm. Both of them are Jedi Masters, and both of them are 2 different kinds of characters completely. I don't want to say much about them because I don't want to give away spoilers, but I really feel they are the best characters in this book. Loden's personality is fantastic, and really, I just wish there was more of him in this book. I also really love that he's a Twi'lek. That's one thing about this book, is there are so many alien characters. In the movies, all the Jedi we focus on are mostly human characters, which is fine, but there were so many different species, I just thought it was really cool. I actually had to constantly check Google to try and remember what each species was. But it isn't just the species that sets these characters apart. The characters also have a lot of different personalities. The High Republic Jedi we see are completely different from the ones in the prequel trilogy. They aren't dogmatic, and they really have different ways of looking at the Force. Even the ships in this story, which in a way are characters too, while similar to the prequel era, are also much different. You have the Vectors, the Long Beam, and many more. We'll just take a moment to talk about the Jedi starfighters, known as the Vectors. I thought it was really cool how these ships were basically connected to a Jedi by means of the Force. And there's more cool things about them that I won't get into because, as I said, I don't want to spoil anything. But it was really fun and really creative, and overall just really well done. The last thing I mentioned in my checklist was the story overall. Now, because this is a spoiler-free discussion, as I just mentioned, I won't get into the story. I want you to experience that for yourself. But I will say follow me on Twitter, because that's where I'm going to be posting more of my thoughts on the story after the book releases for the general public. So that's everything I love, but what about the things I didn't love so much? At times, I was a little annoyed with looking up the alien characters, but that's not really the story's fault. maybe I should just recognize the name of fictional alien races better. There were a few moments where the choice of wording was strange. The author does refer to a weapon as a gun instead of a blaster, and it was a little bit strange, kind of pulled me out a little bit, but nothing crazy. Also, the story does jump from one group of characters to another from chapter to chapter, so there were times that I found myself wishing I was still back with another set of characters, just because I had gotten so invested in them. But besides that, I can't think of anything else that I disliked about this book, and honestly, those are just nitpicks. So you're probably asking yourself, should I read this story?
Do it.
Absolutely. If you love Star Wars or sci-fi in general and just want a good book to read, I think you should definitely go for it. And if you do love Star Wars, well, hey, this is a promising start to a new era of storytelling. Well, that's going to do it for me, guys. Make sure to stay tuned to the next video. I'm going to be diving into a new show that actually takes place in this High Republic era. It's a little show called Star Wars Acolyte. But until then, may the Force be with us all.